June 11, 1986. Union Brothers Hit 100 Miles Apart by Wallace T. Brooks, staff writer. 3 men, including Southeastern Pennsylvania Trade Union Council President Michael Flood and his brother Peter, were found shot to death yesterday in what police described as a mob hit. Michael Flood, 32, and Leonard Crawley, 29, of Upper Darby, were discovered in the basement of a South Philadelphia row house belonging to a retired member of the Roofers Union. Earlier in the day, Peter, 33, was found in the backyard of his vacation home in Cape May, New Jersey. Michael's father, Philip, like his son, president of the Trade Union Council, was killed 16 years ago when a bomb went off as he entered his South Philadelphia home. No arrests were ever made in the killing. (1961). Peter Flood is 8 years old, dressed in a jacket that is too light against the wind. A thin crust of snow lies across the yard, and his sister's footprints lead from the front steps to the spot she is standing, studying her mitten. His sister moves, pulling his attention. She squats, and she slowly brings the snow to her face. She looks up at him, her lips wet and red, and she smiles. "Call," she says. She watches him until he returns her smile, waits for it like a signal, and then she closes her mitten around a stone and brings it to her mouth, too. There is a park across the street. He is not allowed to go there without his father. He has watched other children playing alone in the park, but he understands, without being told, that his life is not like theirs. His sister stands and then takes a few steps away from him, in the direction of the street. She looks over her shoulder, teasing him, knowing that he will chase her and carry her back to the steps. He crosses the yard. She shrieks as she hears him behind her. He puts his arm around her waist and lifts her. She screams, "No!" and he feels the heels of her rubber boots kicking against his legs, and understands that in this moment she would kill him if she could. He notices the dog mess then, that's what his mother calls it, lying in a smoking pile on the other side of the driveway. Peter is afraid of dogs, especially this dog, but he keeps it hidden. He is expected not to be afraid, just as he is expected to stay in the yard. The dog itself is white, with red eyes. The man who owns the dog lives in the house next door. There is always polka music coming from inside. Peter sees the man pounding the animal's chest sometimes. Sometimes he invites Peter to touch the dog himself. "Come on, Paulie. He don't bite nobody but crooks." The man calls him Paulie, sometimes Phil. He remembers his father's name, though, Mr. Flood. And Peter will cross the driveway and touch the animal's head, while everything inside the dog is in his eyes, held back by a thread. Peter looks up the street now for the man's car. The sound of it will draw the dog from the alley. It is a red car with black tires. He gets his tires from the police garage, and a top that comes down. His sister falls, suddenly, and lands on her bottom. "Boom," she says. And then he hears the car, coming faster than it should and from the wrong direction. As he turns, his sister bolts. He hears her shriek before he moves to reel her in, and as he moves, he sees the dog. The dog spots Peter and stops, lowering its head. Peter stops too. He sees his sister now, beyond the dog, crossing the yard toward the street. He tries to go after her, but cannot make his feet do what they will not. He hears the car again. It crosses his line of vision, hits ice, and skids into Peter's yard. His sister has slowed, is turning to see if he is chasing her. She is looking at him when the car throws her into the sky. He watches her, rolling as she comes to him. Her eyes are open, looking someplace he cannot see. She lands at his feet, looking beyond him 1,000,000 miles. The boy stands still, and then the dog comes across the yard after him. For a moment, everything is slow. He sees the man's face as he opens the car door. He sees the muscles in the dog's chest.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?